Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here and to meet again Walden. I think the last time we met was 7 or 8 years ago in South Korea in a debate there. It's an honor for me to be here and to be with Walden again. Walden made a very complete speech. I have not been in touch with this document. I just heard his exposition now, and that's my first time in touch with those ideas. So I think I'll make some very general comments, a little bit disorganized, and my general idea is to put this in a kind of South American perspective, which I think could be useful for us to discuss. First of all, we also can remark here that this year is also 10 years from the defeat of FTAA, and maybe 15 years or so with the stall of the negotiations in WTO. And I think the anti-globalization movements, especially in the region, had a very important role on all those two processes. So, but I can agree that after that, the sensation is that the movements in the region here lost a little bit of momentum, and I think this is an important point for us. Associated with this fight against those globalization and liberalization tools like the FTA and WTO, there was a rise of the societies, especially in South America, searching new paths of development. And I think the new governments in the region are part of this process. But I think you being at your parliament, you realize that there are some conflicts. Being part of the forces that occupy the state, also represented for the social movements in Latin America, new conflicts related to the pragmatism of power. So there is a kind of conflict between what you call the strategy of making counterpower, or even you quoted Chavez on that, and the idea that being in power implies some kind of pragmatism that catches the will of transformation from civil society movements. So I think little by little the social movements are getting away getting far from the governments in the region and being more and more critical on that. But on the other hand, and this can be seen, for instance, the contradictions. We've discussed that we have a group that discuss foreign relations, and we discuss on the Argentinian situation and the Argentinian elections, which will be this month, and the contradictions between the relations of the social movements and the new governments, and the possibilities of moving back with a neoliberal government. So I think the social movements, they are kind of stalled in front of the possibilities of moving forward with this process especially in South America. So these different perspectives from governments and civil societies are more and more clear at this point. I think the idea that inequality or the environment or some very simple principles can put some light and can guide social movements on the position at this moment, and this can be very important for us not to lose our connections with the central idea of transformation, which I think is a principle that can unify and can give some fuel to civil society to stay active. The other point I want to refer is the idea that the crisis of 2008 is still going on, is still in movement, and this is a very important part of the scenario where we are defining our future at this moment. And referring to this, I think that particularly the governments in South America that were trying to search new paths or new alternatives, they feel very comfortable with the situation before the crisis in 2008 and the economic situation and the commodity prices, and this was a point of, I think, difference with civil society, because as they were very comfortable with this position, they went more and more to national agendas and went far from a very important idea, especially to us in the region, that was the idea of regional integration as a possibility of having something new and being a part of a new strategy of development. I think this the idea of integrating developing countries in some way was also present in the idea of Bandung, and it seems very far, but we have to remember that the Bandung Conference was just in the middle of the Cold War, so that there were two different perspectives fighting, and then try to organize a new alternative in this situation. So one of the important issues for us is to recover the idea of the role that the regional integration can have, especially in the region, and more than that, as a kind of example to other regions to move ahead also with this idea. And the last point I want to refer here is the the importance of the state. You refer to 4 different points: socialism, state, democracy, and parties. And I think one of the most important points fighting globalization refers to move back to the idea that the state can have an important role, but referring to this, the tradition of especially civil society in South America that associate or had associated the idea of dictatorship and the state for many years have very enormous difficulties to deal with the role that the state can have in a process of trying to build up new alternatives, and even to think, I think this is one of the tasks we have here, especially Brazilian civil society had accumulated a lot of discussion on that, how to democratize the state and how to to retain its autonomy, refer to the state, but also creating mechanisms, tools that in order that the state can be part of this process of building new alternatives. I think we've lost a lot of, you refer to the World Social Forum. That was a very special space for us of discussions of all these kind of the points of this agenda. I think we lost a lot, not having more this space here to have a discussion on that. But anyway, I tried to refer to some points that I think they are very important on building up a new agenda of discussion, and that your presentation remember me on those issues. Thank you.